Good morning and a warm welcome in joining us for the President's Design Award 2025 Jurors Forum, jointly organized by Design Singapore Council and Urban Redevelopment Authority, and part of the PDA Creating a Better World by Design series. I'm Chelsea and your MC for today. Some of the most influential names in design have gathered in Singapore for a week for the PDA 2025 jury session to select the recipients of the nation's highest design honor. These recipients will be announced at the award ceremony at the National Gallery Singapore in July. We are honored to have our distinguished jurors join us as part of our panel. For BOA and SIA members, there will be 6 CPD points accredited to members who have registered and stayed till the end of this forum. Please do stay till the end of the forum to fill in the survey form with your details to qualify for the CPD points. Throughout the session, you may also send in your questions by scanning the QR code shown on the screen to submit your questions. Without further ado, we would like to invite Ms. Dawn Lim, Executive Director of Design Singapore Council, to give her welcome remarks. Dawn, please.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see so many of you here today. Notwithstanding, I know 6 CPD points is very generous, but thank you also for choosing to spend your morning here with us. Together with Leiby, my partner in crime from the URA, our 2 agencies have spent the past week 3 full days with our jurors from Singapore as well as all over the world, assessing who will be crowned the 2025 recipients of the President's Design Award. A very significant receiving year also because it is SG60. And what emerged in all the discussions, and it's quite intense, is the role of design in shaping Singapore, our national identity. What is Singapore design? But also, what is the role of design in shaping our future? And, you know, those of you who have heard me speak before, we are known globally for being very fast-paced, very forward-looking, very innovative. Everywhere you see here, it's modern, 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 juxtaposed with a lot of heritage. We try and conserve as much as we can. We are also a UNESCO City of Design. We are now a Blue Zone. We are episode 4 on the Netflix documentary, if you haven't watched it. Bjarke Ingels told Westworld to come and film here because you want forward-looking, you want future, come to Singapore. The world looks at Singapore and they see a certain spirit, a certain progressiveness that epitomizes, I think, the Singapore spirit. And most recently, we were named as the most livable, lovable, and prosperous city in Asia Pacific. So I think we can say, you know, we know a little bit about what good design is. We know a little bit about how good design can make stronger communities, how good design can support better businesses and good health, and makes our lives better. And every morning I look at the headlines of the news, and it is, frankly, quite depressing these days. And the fact that we can all sit here and convene here in the heart of Chinatown, the central business district, where you have a Hindu temple right at the edge of a very predominantly Chinese enclave, where after this, I'm going to take my jurors across the street to Maxwell, and we will be chopping with our tissue papers and sharing communal tables, very possibly with a retiree, a tourist, somebody just very quite different from ourselves. And we will be sharing that table and the experience over food, regardless of where you come from, regardless of how much you earn. I think that is a privilege in today's context. It is a real privilege. And I don't think we should take that for granted. We are not perfect. We are not perfect. And I know many people say, hey, we're very forced. It's too organized. But at the same time, this is what design can do. it creates spaces that shapes our behaviors and our mindsets that I think we should be very proud of. And I'm going to enjoy my less than $10, I hope it's still less than $10, Michelin star chicken rice, and have a kueh kosui after that. And that is the melting pot of cultures that makes us so unique. And so I hope today you will have the opportunity to hear from all these speakers that we've brought in to share a little bit about what design stands for, where they come from, the practices and the experience that they represent, and in that being inspired by what all of you can do with or without your sexy pretty boys to shape a stronger nation for us all. So I hope you have an enjoyable morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Our first panel will explore designing for social impact and inclusivity, highlighting how thoughtful design fosters accessibility, equity, and meaningful change. Let's welcome our first speaker and jury member of the design panel, Dr. Patricia Moore, President of the MooreDesign Associates. Dr. Patricia Moore is a renowned gerontologist and designer known for her work on universal design. She documented ageism in her book, Disguise, and has received numerous awards for her contributions, including the Cooper Hewitt National Design Award and the World Design Medal. Dr. Moore, please.
Good morning. When students ask me, how can I become you? I warn them, be careful what you wish for. I began life very early on as a voracious reader. My mother was an academic, an educator, and literature was part of my soul. Also, at a very young age, I became aware of my disdain for architecture that discriminates. If you see me making this face today, I suggest you run away. By the time I went to school, I had already learned of the irritation that is the paparazzo. Can you see me at the end? Clearly, I was displeased with the photographer taking our picture that day. At the age of 17, I went from my home in Buffalo, New York, to Rochester, New York, just an hour away, because honestly, I wanted to be close to my family. It was the only university I applied to. And today I listen to young people applying to dozens of universities in fear that they won't get a spot, which troubles me terribly. At 17, I believed in better living through chemicals. This was my blonde phase. And at 17, I thought I would be a brilliant artist. And the only reason I went to university was so that I could learn the trade of medical illustration, pay my bills, have a flat, have a life, but at night I would be Picasso. And something went very wrong. I was introduced to the field of industrial design, and my artistry changed. And I understood the power of design to build lives, build futures, create quality for all. Because this man found me, Raymond Loewy, the father of American industrial design, hired me to be the first and only female in his New York City office. And so it was me with the boys, and it was a very rough time. I was called a broad and lots of disparaging names. It was the 1970s, and I was told women did not belong in design. There's nothing as an Irish woman I like more than being told I can't do something. Another thing I heard at every meeting was, we don't design for those people. Now, I was raised with my grandparents in our home, which I attribute to being the reason I am who I am. Having my grandparents with me showed me what long life can challenge us. And when I wanted to design for those people, I found that my fellow architects and designers did not agree. Those people. Those people. Those people. Those people. Can you imagine today that architects and designers don't embrace those people? In my lifetime, we've managed to instill empathy into creativity. When I was 26, I became 85. And I traveled throughout North America in the guise of elder women so that I could understand those people. I had more dates at 85 than I did at 26. It's a very sad story. We'll move on. I had love, I had laughter, I had appreciation, I had friendship, fellowship, I had purpose. And then I had the opposite. I had loneliness and fear. I was made unable, incapable, because of bad design. I was one of those people. And universality in design was born, so that all over the world we would embrace the fact that we are the same in our wishes, our dreams, our desires, our wants, our needs. We are one people by design. And that the focus really needs to be always lifestyle. Whether you live in a big house or a modest home, you have the right to a quality of life by design. And that life quality is the responsibility of design. The hardest work I've done to date in the more than 50 years I've proudly been a designer has come with NATO and wounded warriors across the globe. To meet a young man who has done service for his country, without question, facing the dilemma of the vulgarity that is war, having forever a body changed by hatred. This is the hardest thing for me as a designer, because I must convince him first in his heart and his mind that by design we will improve the quality of his life. He will be a father. He will continue to be a son. He will find love. He will have a job because of design. And not just for youth or midlife or late life, but for the entirety of the lifespan. From day one to day none, we all of us are consumers, desirous and needing every aspect of deliberation by design. There's language I don't use, and this is one of those words. Tiger Woods is handicapped, horses are handicapped in races, but people are not handicapped. I would no sooner say to this child, "Oh, you have a handicap," than I would say to him, "You are disabled," because clearly he has been made able, and that's the focus of design. Where there is a discrepancy, we fulfill the need. We go well beyond mere accessibility as we make our way about the challenges of everyday life. Being able to get from one place to another is a good start. But it is total usability that is the goal of design. I've recently been called the dominatrix of design, which I rather like, which is to say, I enjoy having the president of a company ask me to come work with that company, and I try and teach them empathy. We change all of their capacities, all of their natural abilities, and then we send them into their shops or into their businesses with a list of things they must try to do. This particular president you see is not playing by the rules. He's not using his cane. He pretty much was so angry that he stopped the whole experiment, and we went back to the office and he demanded to see his architects and designers for change. Another piece that I leave you with today, I hope, is that age should not be a concern. While I am a gerontologist, age tells us very little about capacity and very little to inform design. Numbers really don't matter. As my dear friend Mr. Wang has shown us, at 65 he became a model, at 85 he learned to fly a plane. The man refuses to stop. He is my hero. We are demonstrating the need to change a medical model of aging and the lifespan so that durable medical equipment doesn't define us and create the quality of life that none of us would desire. I thank my mother for posing for this. And I point out that at this stage of her life, she could no longer get into the deep tub for a nice long soak. This was loss of quality of life. And so she inspired me to create the consumer model of aging in working to redefine the products and environments that we all must have if we are to achieve wellness. This is the challenge of inclusivity. And sadly, I stand before you now as an American citizen who is being told I cannot speak of inclusivity, I cannot speak of equity, I cannot speak of diversity. Pray for us. I fully expect one day soon I'm going to be arrested, or worse. But my friends, I tell you, I know that together we can achieve inclusivity, and we will. I have been partnered over the years with wonderful people with the same vision and dreams. These are the Farbers who started Oxo Good Grips. A husband who saw his wife with arthritis, tears streaming her face, in pain, just trying to make their evening meal, and said, "We can do better," and came back to New York from retirement in France, and came to us at Smart Design and said, "Let's redesign the mousetrap." Mr. Lowy always said I would design trains. I didn't think I would, but he was right. He was always right. And now we design transportation for all with equity. The most important consumers are the ones who need the design the most. the most important consumers are the ones that wouldn't have the quality of life and the wellness without the design. So we have challenges, to be certain. We have great disparity in our world. We have hate. We have fear. We have war and separation. And we have the failure of the built environment and man-made material. And we have Mother Nature very upset with us. And the outcome of all of these episodes means that design has never been more essential for everyone and every life. I live in the desert of Arizona, and we have very little water. It's on fire. I have fellow Americans living on the streets, through no fault of their own, an economy gone mad. And I have a heavy heart that the animal kingdom is also being made homeless by our ineptitude. So, I leave you today with expectations. Every child on the planet deserves to know that they are safe and secure because of us. We will continue to educate and learn from one another. Last May, I gave the commencement address at the university I attended 50 years ago. And I thought long and hard, how do I help the young people entering design today when they were so afraid and depressed? And it dawned on me, we had the same headlines 50 years ago, just different players. And I'd like to remind young people, the baby boomers are not the bad guys. We started Earth Day. And we have been fighting for equity and equality. But still in the United States, my friends, I am not equal under the Constitution to a man. And we had very interesting politicians. But what made the change was the belief of the youth, the empathy, the understanding, and the believability that they could make change, helping other cultures, other countries worldwide, working as teams, cleaning up the accidents, the mistakes, and holding hands and working together. There is nothing stronger than being united by design. It underlines our responsibilities for tomorrow, today. I was so in love with this movie from 1939 that talked about a professor in England. I wanted so much to be an academic, and then I realized it was a myth. And even though I am not assigned to any one university, I'm honored to travel the world, working with students everywhere. Because it's together we will make for a positive change. My expectations, we can hold hands and stick together. We can build bridges, not walls. And we can bless each other's hearts. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. Next, we have Mr. Peter Murray, co-founder, New London Architecture, and jury member of the architectural panel. Peter Murray is the co-founder of the New London Architecture think tank and the London Centre. He founded the London Festival of Architecture and has advised London mayors Boris Johnson and Sadiq Khan. He is a keen cyclist and advocate of active travel, awarded an Officer of the Order of the British Empire in 2021 for leadership in arts and design. Peter, please.
Thank you very much, and I'm very honoured to be in this wonderful, exciting city and learning about the work that has been done, particularly here at URA. New London Architecture is a sort of a sister or brother organisation to URA. We do many of the same things. We don't have quite the same level of space and number of models and so on, but we do very much the same thing in terms of directing the change in the city, how we create a better city, bringing people together in events like today to discuss how we shape better cities. And so it's a great pleasure to be able to share those ideas and thinking with fellow professionals and members of the public about what sort of cities we want, cities that are inclusive and provide social impact. And so today I'm going to talk about third space and how that impacts on the way we use our cities. The first space is our homes, where we live. Our second space is where we work. Our third space is where we come together and meet people. We share aspects about our lives, and we help each other create better lives. And as with our previous speakers, we look at making those spaces accessible and usable by all, to quote Gil Penalosa, who stood for mayor of Toronto, and I'm planning to stand for mayor of London in the next election, partly because I'm rather fed up with some of the progress that we're making in terms of delivering the issues which I've advised the last two London mayors, but actually making things happen in the built environment is still slow going. There are lots of things, and very interesting again, what we heard before about many of these issues were discussed maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago, and we are still attempting to create the level of change which is required. So we need to do things quicker, better, and with greater relevance towards our key topic for this morning, which is social impact and inclusivity. And in terms of public space in cities, this is a picture I took on the first occasion during the pandemic when we were allowed out, and so restaurants wanted to have more and healthier space in order to provide tables. So for a short period of time, the local authorities allowed restaurants to put tables out in the streets. Now, this is easier done in this climate than maybe in ours, but this really was a radical shift in the way that we used our streets. And I think that, like Jeanette Sadiq Khan in New York, who was transport commissioner there under the Bloomberg administration, she always said, you have to realize that streets are public spaces too, and not just conduits for vehicles and deadly tin boxes. So this really did, and one thought, was going to transform aspects around our use of streets in London permanently, but as COVID went away, as life came back together, motorists complained, residents who lived above the restaurants complained, and gradually, and I think the same thing has happened in New York, where we both followed the same example in use of streets, things are beginning to go back to normal. And again, these are issues that we need to really put a stake in the ground to stop us going backwards. And politically, there are plenty of places, as we've also just heard, where things are going backwards. Now, around the world, there are plenty of examples where we have been using space in improved ways over the years, and precincts are a very good example of that. This is a development called Broadgate in the City of London. It was developed in 1985, and the amount of greenery has improved over the years. We tend to do open space with harder surfaces. Now we're going greener, obviously partly for climate change issues, healthier spaces and so on. But these areas, they are public-private space. They are not the same, I think, as opening up our streets and much more public sort of spaces. There are developments like this, another precinct in London, King's Cross, a really good piece of regeneration in the city. On a fine day, there are fountains outside the historic buildings there. People come and watch sports, looking across the canal to a big screen. It's a very popular, well-run space. It is privately owned and privately managed, but they do actually work very hard to ensure that people feel comfortable using it, and it does attract members of a wider community to it on a regular basis. So an important place in London, an important place for people to come and meet and share the space and the facilities that are around it. And of course, these improvements have been happening in smaller scales in cities across the world over the last few years. From each of these two groups of pictures shows a difference in the one in the top left-hand, 2011, 2014, street closed off, made much friendlier for pedestrians, and there are greener spaces put into some of these places. Paving and barriers made more comfortable for pedestrians, healthier streets, fewer cars, and we have a lot of contest in London between obviously cars and people using the streets, and I was very interested to hear in Singapore about policies towards car light use, and I think that's a really nice way to describe it, partly because in London it is signified by a war on cars, which really gets motorists very angry, and we need to find some way of balancing out the needs of the various users of the city. And if we're looking at cities which are focused on equity, which is a key part of our New London agenda, equity, if you look at how people get around London, 73% of people use a bus at least once a week. Only 2% of people use a taxi once a week. And actually, so buses should have priority in the use of the roads, the use of signalling, and where we have a smart city, we can start actually delivering greater equity by providing a hierarchy of use of vehicles within the city. And other areas around the world which have done great projects. The problem is so many of them remain great signifying projects, while the rest of the city tends to stay the same. This is in Seoul, a wonderful shift of getting rid of a freeway, a raised freeway, and taking it back to being a river and a wonderful park running through the city, a great attractor for people, a great social space. And but then you go out into the rest of the city and you have racing vehicles where motor vehicles have priority over pedestrians. And even out of tragedy, you can have benefits. This is in Paris after the fire that destroyed Notre Dame, and it's now been restored. A new public space, which was a taxi drop-off for people coming to see Notre Dame, this is now a great new space for the city, which is an advantage both for those visiting the cathedral, but also everyone using the city as citizens. And here, lots of really nice insertions into cities, which actually make places healthier, better to use for citizens, provide links that didn't exist before, and actually change the way that people actually work together within the city. And this is quite some time ago in San Francisco. In the top left-hand corner, you can see the freeway which went across in front of this building, stripped back, and now this is a great public market and popular place where people can go to and enjoy the city. And this, I found this the other day, which is in Bangkok, and a wonderful garden bridge, which we're going to hear more from the author about later. But we tried to deliver a garden bridge in London, which was a very controversial project. And so it was a great pleasure to be in Bangkok and find that actually somebody had actually done it and delivered it and created a very nice space and a comfortable way of people walking rather than driving across the river. And then Barcelona. Barcelona is, I think, very interesting because it has this, what might be seen as a very rigid grid plan, but the idea of bringing together super grids where traffic is directed along the major roads, the blue lines on the plan here, and creating these super grids of 9 of the squares, slowing down the traffic, making places where people can walk, sit out comfortably, children can play. It really is a radical shift in the way that a city that was very much designed around transportation is now creating places for people. And this is a small scheme in the City of London, which was done a couple of years ago. Top left-hand corner, you can see the blue building behind the space. That was just a gyratory, a roundabout with cars, and now the number of cars has been reduced, and the area has become a very nice space where mainly office workers can go and sit and have lunch, and in the evenings communities meet up, and there's a cafe there, and it's a very enjoyable space for the area. And this is London's and maybe the UK's most important retail street. This is Oxford Street, where people come to shop, and as you can see, it is not really a very pleasant environment for the pedestrian. It's highly polluted, and the debates around improving this have been going on for almost all my career in London. And the problem is that it means moving some vehicles out of Oxford Street and into surrounding residential areas. All the people in the residential areas, when there's an election, they vote against anything happening. And so this major, national part of our infrastructure is left to really a sort of second-rate environment. And this is one project that our mayor, Sadiq Khan, has actually now taken a policy decision on, and he has the ability to create what are called mayoral development corporations, which means that he can take over the planning operations from the local borough, and it becomes less political and more managerial. And so this is an idea which has been, it's really a computer-generated image, and as any designer knows, computer-generated images aren't always deliverable in the way that the image would suggest. And what this omits is that this street goes east-west, and there are north-south roads going through it, which will be very difficult to shift. So actually having a continuous pedestrian street like this is going to be very complicated to deliver, but at least progress is being made. But we do have a number of areas where there's been great success. These have been delivered largely through business improvement districts, which I think have proved to be a very successful way of creating positive urban change. And this is an area next to the Courtauld Art Gallery, Somerset House, a historic 18th century mansion, which is now art gallery and a public space. But outside it, you meet, or you used to meet, this, I think, almost 5-lane, busy and often jammed traffic. And this is what it looks like today. The traffic has been shifted without any great problems with congestion created by it. This church has been given a much better context. It's a great place for people to sit out. There's a university on either side of the space, so it becomes a great place for students to get together, for people working in the city to eat, for tourists who come there. It's much more pleasant. It's a huge improvement on the space. And so this is what it's like, with good seating, places to sit, eat your sandwich, meet people, and compared to what it was before, it's an amazing and important transformation. Important because it sets an example for others to follow. And this is a street just next. I used to have an office just down at the bottom of the road there, and this has been transformed into a park, which again works very well for local office workers, local residents, and is just again a pleasanter, healthier place to be. And actually the amount of traffic, we brought in a congestion charge in about 2004, which reduced the amount of traffic in the City of London by about 30%. But the problem is that what has happened in the intervening period, that now we have so many smaller vehicles going around delivering Amazon parcels, that takes up a huge amount of road space. But also because we have so many more vehicles for hire, Uber, taxis, private taxis, that you have so many more cars now, vehicles touring the area waiting for to pick up a hire. That actually a lot of that benefits of the congestion charge have been lost. And finally, this is a project which I've been engaged with for some years. This is called Bank Junction, which is right in the heart of the City of London financial district. It's really the one of the key public spaces in London. But it has for a long time been a 7-way junction. So there were 7 roads coming into it. It's very dangerous. 2 cyclists were killed there in 2014, 2015. And so a lot of work was done to reduce it down to just crossroads of 2 crossing roads, so 4 roads going into it. Through traffic was taken out, and the only vehicles that came through are buses and cyclists. So that was decided that that would be the safest way to do it. And at the moment, it's a very nice space because you can hear people speak. The noise of the traffic is just the electric buses, and obviously cyclists don't make any noise. And the pavements have been widened, so it's a really comfortable space for, particularly in rush hour. It gets very busy, but people are very relaxed, and it's a good space to be. But like in many areas of politics today, there is a sort of what I call backward-looking groups within the Court of Common Council, which decides on these things, and taxi drivers complained that they couldn't drive through it They put a lot of political pressure, and so the council gave way and has now agreed for taxis to be able to go through there as well. So I organised a protest to try and stop this happening, and these are the local councillors who supported us, but unfortunately we lost. So in about 2 months' time, if you come to London, instead of just having a nice quiet space with a few buses and a few cyclists, it'll now be full of taxis as well, which totally changes the approach and is actually against the area's own plan to 2040, which looks at reducing the number of vehicles. They are encouraging increasing number of vehicles, which I think is absolutely the wrong way to be going at this particular juncture. And so at the time, I did this painting back in 2015, which is what I think a space like this can actually be in the future, that by removing vehicle access to public spaces like this, you create somewhere which is comfortable for people with an area like this, with very good public transportation. 93% of people coming to this area actually arrive by active travel, by either public transport, cycling or walking, and it's a medieval city, so it's actually scale is perfectly walkable. And so we could create a city like this, which is fit for people. It is accessible to everybody. It's a pleasure to be in. It's green, it's healthy, and it's a place where people come together and mix with their fellow citizens in the way that public spaces should be used. Thank you very much.